Welcome to the Home Yogi podcast. I'm Christine, a yoga guide, and your yoga guide for this interview. I'm the founder of Healing Yoga, the home yoga practice workshop and podcast, and most importantly, a longtime home yogi. And I'm here to talk with other longtime home yogi and accomplished healer, Sonia Masocco. She's the owner of Phytotherapy here in Albuquerque and qualified practitioner of clinical aromatherapy, reflexology, and massage therapy, herbology, and Ayurveda. After teaching for almost 10 years at her alma mater, the Ayurvedic Institute, and at the University of New Mexico here in Albuquerque, she currently teaches worldwide, mentors new and upcoming practitioners, and facilitates product development in her beautiful shop, which we can see in the background here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Welcome, Sonia. Sonia, I am glad you are here.
Thank you for having me, Christine. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. Yes, we have so much fun when we talk, and I love to talk to you about the seasons, our yoga practices, and herbs and plant allies. So when we were chatting before we got started, we were talking about late winter. And so we are right now in the transition, right? The Ritu Sandhi between early and late winter. And that has a few changes that go along with it. But you brought up, I thought brilliantly, we're in also the post-holiday Ritu Sandhi.
Right.
And there's some things that we can do to help our bodies sort of land nicely.
Yes, navigate through the things. So realistically, according to Ayurveda, this is a kapha season. And before it was like vata kapha, but now it's like kapha kapha. So this is when we're having the, humidity, and we're having like this wet quality, and it's a heavy, dense, dull quality. And we would really want to, on one hand, don't allow it to accumulate too much to create toxicity, but we do need it to accumulate to allow for health. So there's a fine balance in Ayurveda according, for what kapha can do. So kapha shares the qualities of toxicity, ama. So like this heavy, dense, dull quality. And basically those are aggravated by also oily. So if there's like too much oily in the mixture, now things can become sticky, can become stuck. And so, especially after the holidays, we want to make sure things are circulating, things are moving. And so we would want to, on one hand, maybe we did have some greasy foods during the holidays. Maybe we did overindulge in cookies and chocolate and whatever. Ayurveda would say, well, we need to clear some of that out of the system, and we can actually help the liver, give a little bit more fire to that liver, or give a little bit more help to that liver to kind of clear a few things. But this is not something that we want to do for more than 3, 5, 7 days. We just want to kind of help stimulate, but we don't want to be cleansing. Cleansing is something that we do typically between spring and summer. We don't do the cleansing now. So this is just a matter of a little bit of a reboot. And here we would like to use things that are good for the liver, like herbs like kutki or dandelion root or gentian, things, or, even, things like Oregon grape, things that will or milk thistle, things that will kind of dissipate some of this clogging, but not necessarily clear and deplete. We're not into the depletion. This is not depletion season. This is building season. So we really want to honor that. And something that we would like to do, however, to kind of, because both kapha and toxicity share the cold quality. So we want to stay away from foods that are going to be cold or drinks that are going to be cold. And we're also going to try to favor things that are going to be warm. And particularly, Ayurveda is very fond of ginger. So we're going to have ginger tea. And if you have to have a candy, well, have ginger candy, but basically, we want to stay on the warm side of things because we don't want to allow uh, cough, congestion, cold to develop because of this extreme cold quality. So we just need to be kind of mindful of our choices for breakfast, mindful for our choices for lunch, mindful for drinks. And if we're mindful and use food as medicine and also use drinks as medicine, then we don't have to have problems. Now, obviously, there's always going to be something that can happen that is external, right? You might have been on a plane with people that were sick and you got sick. Well, if your terrain was healthy, you're going to rebound quite fast. If your terrain was not healthy, this can actually linger for more than 2 weeks, more than a month, more than 2 months, so we would really want to maintain a healthy terrain.
I love that. And I think it's so important. This is the season of building kapha.
Yeah.
And in my experience, in a lot of yoga spaces and alternative healing spaces, kapha gets a bad rap.
Right.
Kapha, and there are negative qualities associated with all of the doshas, right?
But
But go ahead. Kapha is necessary, right?
right. So they say, so we have this vata, pitta, kapha. I would consider them buckets. Okay. So our bucket of vata has prana, the chi, the life form, the whatever like exhilarates you and is attractive outside. Then we have the bucket of pitta, which is fire. And that is also not only metabolic fire, but also intellect. So it's like it's able to digest, multiply, divide, calculate. All of that is in the bucket of pitta. So that's really interesting because you could give a hard problem to a pitta person, and they have the fire to be able to dissect, understand, and architect something as a solution. Kapha is the bucket of ojas, and this is our immunity. And this is also not only our immunity, but this is also the glow, and it's also the auric field. So it's like a protector. And so, according to Ayurveda, this is very important to have a good ojas because this is going to protect you from the outside, not only in terms of influences of thoughts and emotions, but also going to protect you from the outside, from those viruses, from the things that other people have. But because your terrain is healthy, you are not susceptible. And so they always say, well, you could go to a restaurant and somebody eats something and that person got sick, and the other person ate the exact same thing and that other person did not get sick. And that's because they had good ojas. Their kapha and their immunity was so strong that it didn't allow them to get sick. So according to Ayurveda, this also ojas is necessary for life. So the prana that's outside, this chi, all of that is outside. But for it to live inside the body, it has to be circulated as a cellular structure. And so according to Ayurveda, the prana through pitta gets into the body as ojas, and this is what circulates. And so you having life force is because of ojas. So as a matter of fact, there's always this tale of, oh, you could put a person that is dead outside in the wind, or give them oxygen, but they're not going to have life. It's because it's ojas that carries that life. So ojas and kapha. So ojas is that what's in the container of kapha. You need to have that, and you need to have that really healthy, especially for the summer, because in the summer we get depleted. So this is the time to really restore and really quiet down, and not necessarily be doing a lot of outdoors activities, or going hiking and trying to lose weight, or none of that. Ayurveda says no, this is not the season. You can do that in March or April or May, but this is not the season. This is a season to really be in kind of like a tree, and basically allow all of the systems to recharge and get yourself grounded, get your roots stronger, and then you can flourish and do other things. But now is not the time to, go on some crazy exercise program or, weight loss program.
That's so interesting. And I love the concept, the vision, the image of trees, right? We often walk through trees in winter and they look, we often use the word barren. But really, what's going on underground is strengthening, deepening, and there are whole colonies of roots that are deepening together.
Right.
And so it's what happens underground in the darkness in winter that's so important.
Exactly. So this
From
is
a
not a time to be totally extrovert. This is not the time. And we can eventually consider that after the solstice, after, so it was interesting the other day. I was just curious because I actually, an Italian friend of mine was like, oh, Carnival just started. And it's just, and I was like, when does Carnival start anyway? And it's like, it starts after Epiphany. It's like, okay. Not after Epiphany. It starts after, yes, the 6th,
yeah.
Yeah, so that's is Epiphany. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. And then it's like, and when exactly does, Easter, because Easter always changes dates. It's like, what is going on with the Easter thing? And apparently that is after at the full moon after the winter solstice. So so that's why it changes dates all the time, because it's like we have to wait for the 21st, and whenever the full moon is when we're going to have Easter. It's like, okay,
After the spring equinox.
after the spring equinox.
Exactly. Yes. And so I think that's the dirty little secret of the Catholic Church that I grew up in, is they use the moon calendar.
They use but you see that is the time when you can start exploring losing weight after that vernal equinox. After that equinox is when you can start kind of clearing, getting rid of things, and losing some of the weight, because basically you're at a place where now the sun is going to become more intense and you need to be a little bit lighter. Um, but you also need to be healthy. So this is the time to be healthy before that starts happening.
Well, and I love this because it treats health, right? Not as something that you can do in a weekend cleanse, not as something you can do even in a week-long retreat. Health is built season on season,
Correct.
year on year, cycle on cycle. And we are either building in health or we are not.
Right.
And that has a clear direction to it.
Right.
So what we do in the winter sets us up for a healthy summer. And we can do things in the summer to help us come into winter even more vigorous than we were the prior year.
Right. Absolutely.
And this is the time. So from a Western perspective, during the winter, we have more melatonin than we do at any other time of the year, right? We have light for like 5 minutes a day. Not really, but sometimes it feels that way. And our body produces melatonin triggered by darkness. And so if we're not looking at screens till midnight and all of this other stuff, and I sincerely doubt most people who are watching this would, then we're producing more melatonin. We often associate melatonin with sleep, but it has at least 13 other effects in the body. And it participates in so many building and cleaning out processes. It's incredibly good at helping us build muscle strength. It's cardioprotective. And so for that reason, it might be a good time to build muscle,
Right.
as long as we're nourishing appropriately. What's your take on that?
No, absolutely. And, according to Ayurveda, ojas actually gets built in sleep. So cutting the day, I mean, or actually burning the candle at two ends is not a good idea, according to Ayurveda, because basically it is sleep that actually helps restore and heal the body. So we need to allow this melatonin to be actually developed and actually cycle in the body. And we should actually honor it. We shouldn't be like trying to fight against it. We should actually be honoring it.
I
Absolutely.
love that. Absolutely. Well, and what I think is interesting about these cycles, so correct me if I'm wrong, kapha is at sort of a low point or a baseline in autumn, and it starts to build in early winter, and it's building, 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 and this is all beneficent. It's positive, and then it can peak and maybe even start to aggravate in late winter.
Right.
Now, the antidote for that are the warming spices and herbs, ginger, and chilies maybe, and other things like that.
Absolutely. Anything, any of your pungent spices, your turmeric, your ginger, your chilies. And if you don't like that, you can use rosemary or oregano or
Mhm.
thyme. Those are heating. Even your bay leaf, those are heating. Using garlic, using onion, these have a heating quality. So actually mixing those in with your cold potatoes or with your cold beans or your cold lentils, you do need to put something that is going to be actually giving more heat and also helping a little bit more with circulation.
And that stimulates. So a lot of people, when they think of the liver, they of course think of like metabolizing alcohol and these sorts of things. But the liver is absolutely ground zero for metabolizing fat and sugar, right?
Yeah, but not only that, our digestive enzymes are produced in the liver. So anything, if we want to really help, cut down that starch or cut down that lactose or cut down so it's not only about oils and proteins, it's about all of the things that we ingest. We really need to honor and help the liver. And you would know in Ayurveda, we always say, oh, obviously if you wear contact lenses you might not be able to tell, or glasses all the time you won't be able to tell, but Ayurveda says you will know when you have issues with the liver when you realize that your eyesight is a little bit debilitated, and or your skin is actually having some issues, or if your coloration is not, so those are already tail signs, but
Mhm.
realistically, just a little bit of things can be helpful. And in the spring, there's the idea of follow nature. So in the spring, we have dandelions, dandelion greens. You should be eating those. We have arugula. We have some of the bitter greens in short form. You should be including those in your diet later. Right now, it's actually about having those root vegetables. It's about having those things that will actually make you more grounded, help muscle build, help bones build, and we really need to honor that.
So in yoga practice, warming breaths are useful because they just plain old help us warm up. I
Oh,
shared with
absolutely.
you before we started that last night I hardly ever do activating breaths in evening yoga because I want to facilitate the process into sleep. But boy, did we do some warming breaths last
Right.
night.
Oh, and it's like when you have 20 degrees outside or 25 degrees, or 30 degrees, you definitely want to do some warming breaths. That really helps, change and shift things fast. And
Yes.
we also like to do things like twists, just to kind of help with liver and spleen. Um, this is also a time for inversions, shavasana. You're the expert, but basically these poses are helpful in sustaining, so they're helpful for, it's not a moment to do, vinyasa of, I would not encourage that at this moment. Later in the spring, yes, we can do that. But right now, we actually need to be in a pose for a longer, extended period of time and follow the breath and just be, not necessarily, um, you know, be super activated.
I like that perspective. And the term vinyasa I find to be a problematic term at best, the way that it's used in modern yoga, because there are sun salutations, and often people use the term vinyasa yoga to simply mean any practice that includes a sun salutation.
Oh no.
And it has become, or it is often allied to, a sort of power yoga kind of bent. And of course, the Sanskrit vinyasa simply means to place carefully.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of yoga, and when you read Dasika Char's like core book, Heart of Yoga, core popular book, Heart of Yoga, he's really clear that vinyasas are the basis of an opening yoga practice, and they're any two poses that you alternate between and synchronize with the breath. But what I think I understand you saying is that um, fast sun salutations, power yoga, those kinds of things,
Right.
we will, like you said, we'll leave those for spring.
Right.
Would you, so a couple of slow sun salutations to warm up into a practice
That would
would
be
be appropriate?
Yes, absolutely. That would be great. But
Yeah,
we're not, again, the pace is not fast. This is
right.
not the time to do anything fast.
And inversions bring our attention closer to the danda, the staff of the body. And of
Right.
course, Shavasana is the ultimate rest.
Right.
And so in our yoga practice, the last time we spoke, you talked about flame gazing, Tritaka.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is that, is that your uh, preferred mode of meditation year round, or do you cycle through with the seasons?
Oh, I cycle through with the seasons, but actually, for me, I'm a kapha person, right? I
Mhm.
I need the fire, especially. So I have like the trifecta, right? It's like kapha season, kapha person, and it's just like, and all in general, foods that I'm eating are like kapha. So I need fire. I need some sort of fire. So for me, it's Vatica, but it also can be like actually just making a ceremony of burning in the morning, a wood burning fire. So but this for me is important in the spring. I prefer to do things that are going to be more with more movement, and maybe not necessarily the fire, because I'm also, there's a pitta element in me, so it's like I have to be careful of how much fire I
Mhm.
use instead of becoming sharp. So in Ayurveda, there's this thing about knowing the qualities that you have and knowing the qualities of everything that you kind of put yourself within, because things that are external will also affect your qualities. So if, during, yeah, typically I would, if I'm teaching, I would have like red folders or something that will help me review the fire. But if I already have bleeding tendencies, or like bleeding gums, or if I have skin issues, or if I have like heartburn, I would never be doing anything with fire, because that would increase that hot sharp quality and increase those tendencies. So you have to be aware of yourself and then kind of adjust. And so you would also adjust your practice not only for the season, but also for what's going on at the moment. So you have to really pay attention to yourself.
I love this. We just finished a weekend of the home yoga practice retreat. And one of the things that we take a deep dive into there is this concept uh, that in the West of motivation, right? And it gets bandied about quite a lot. And we associate it with SMART goals and making plans and all of these things, none of which are bad, but it all sort of, the crux is willpower, right? As if willpower were a thing that you either have or you don't, right? You either have it or you don't. And so what we took a deep dive into was in the Yoga Sutras, one of the values that we're encouraged to cultivate is svadhyaya, or self-knowledge. And I would suggest that at least part of what we mean by willpower, by motivation, is knowing ourselves and caring for ourselves, right? I know I have a tendency to be, as one of my partners back when I was a paramedic used to put it, if I would come in and give the navigation directions a little too sharply, he'd just go, sharpish. So noted. and so my job, a lifelong job, I think, has been to take care of that part of myself, to befriend it, to soften with it, but also to love it and encourage it.
Right.
And when I do those things, I don't have to worry about willpower and motivation. What's your take on the relationship between motivation and self-knowledge?
Well, I think that motivation, so self-knowledge is crucial. Okay.
Mm.
Because basically, I always remind people that we're not here for like a, a show or for a Oscar or Grammy Awards or any type of
Performance.
performance. We're here to live, right? And we're here to live, and we should be actually trying to do our best every single day. I do think it's a good thing to have a overall arching ideals of where we want to go or what we want to do. And I find that this is a good period of actually having these overall arching ideas. I also encourage people to have like a book, and it's a book without any lines on it. That way, there's like freedom of writing or drawing or scrapbooking or whatever in these multiple pages that there are there. But there should be a theme. There should be a theme for the year. So what is the theme? And, so you can decide, uplifting, positive, and reaffirming, you can decide what words you want to use, and just see if every day you're doing something along those themes, or at the end of the month, if you were along those themes, or at the end of the year, if you were along those themes. So to me, it's like, it's important to have this overarching idea, but it's not the race, it's not a competition. The only competition is with your own self, and so you just need to be a better version of yourself every day. And what that entails is going to be up to you. If you need to go to counseling, that might be a good thing. If you need to go to yoga, that may. If you need to exercise, that might. If you need to go hiking in the woods, that's up to you. What makes your soul sing? And everybody has a different chart, everybody has a different age, everybody has a different makeup. So because of that, there is no judgment into what makes your heart sing, because basically you're kind of a result of a different pieces of different puzzles. So there should be no judgment, but as long as you do everything in your maximum capacity in the day that you have ahead of you, That is all that counts. And we shouldn't even be calculating in what's coming at 4 o'clock. We can have something happening at 4 o'clock, but our mind should not be there. It should be in the present, doing moment to moment our best in the moment. And I think that that's the most important piece. And you know yourself and know, okay, what do I need to help myself be the best person in the moment, not only today, but also tomorrow. So according to Ayurveda, today's food is tomorrow's fuel. And so you cannot forget to eat today. You cannot forget
Right.
to drink today. You cannot forget to take your medicines today because
No.
whatever you're doing today is tomorrow's fuel. And so we have to take care the same way you take care of your car and you put gas in it, oil in it, you take it to the mechanic, whatever. You have to do that to your body on a daily basis and just be aware of, okay, what do I need today? Do I need an oil change for my liver? Do I need, what do I need? Do I need to drink more water to flush my kidneys? What do I need?
What would serve? Chanting, meditation,
Right.
breath work,
Exactly.
but posture work,
It's
going
all,
for a walk in
they're
nature.
all
Yeah.
tools. They're all tools. And we have so many of them that, today you can choose. Are you going to be using color as it? Or are you going to be using, music as it? Are you going to use yoga or meditation for it? Up to you. I would say
Yes.
every day you should at least meditate. But the other things are optional, except for eating and drinking. That's not an option. This is
And
our this is our only vehicle for this lifetime. And people do not realize this is it, right? This is our body. This is it. This is what we have to do, whatever we want to do on the planet with. We have to take care of it because this is the only one. And we're not going to get a remake or redo or whatever. Even if you do, you still have this body. So you have to just be good to it and allow it to do what you came here to do. So according to Ayurveda, health is necessary for you to do your dharma. So doing what you came here to do is what you're supposed to do, not become hyper focused on your health, hyper vigilant on your food. That's not living. That's just basically obsession. What we should be obsessed with is life. So Ayurveda is a science of life. It's not the science of health. It's a science of living. And so we're using our herbs, our foods, our drinks, our medicines, or whatever, for us to be able to function in this body so we can live. And that's the most important thing. Not again becoming obsessed with the details of, Rasaviri Vipak of a herb. Yes, that's good to know, but we don't need to be obsessed with it.
just the self-knowledge and then the tools to care for what we learn and to best love ourselves so that we can be the love
Be the
in the
love,
world
and live.
and live. And if I remember right, one of the emotional quality of kapha is joy.
Yes.
And so that's one of the wonderful things that's a potential for uprising and upwelling in this season.
Yeah. It's
And
joy, but there's also compassion.
mm,
Actually, the more kapha you have, the more happy you are, the more compassionate you are, and the more joyful people are around you as well. Because basically, there's like an infectious, oily, spreading quality. So this is kind of, and because you're now in the sphere of ojas, because of the koshas, then you're contagious. There's a contagious joy that is surrounding you. So that is important, actually. It's uplifting.
some might say it's everything.
It's everything.
Yes, and I love our checking in with the seasons, and I'm in awe of your wisdom. So thank you for sharing with us, and thank you for your spirit.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be able to share. And I can't wait till next season. See what else Sonia has in her sleeve.
Likewise, and I look forward to talking to you in the meantime. For
Okay.
now, remember, yoga is a practice, and practice is everything. We will see you on the mat.
Namaste.